So remember that Earl Sweatshirt album that we thought was going to get released on streaming services today? It turns out we kind of did. What ended up happening was all we got on streaming services was Century, the track featuring Mike, which I did a video for yesterday. So check that one out if you haven't already. And this album that we're talking about, it's presumably the one that The Alchemist has been teasing for the last 4 years. I think he mentioned in 2019 and then again in 2021. Is the one that was hidden on YouTube for a while. But we haven't really got any confirmation regarding that exactly. Now, while this album is not available on streaming services, it is available for stream ad-free on Gala Music. Gala Music, which I'm sure most people haven't heard of. I haven't heard of it, and I didn't hear of it until this release, is essentially a streaming service that has an NFT-like system where essentially you invest into songs, basically like individual songs, which in turn gives the artist money, but apparently you also get some additional benefits. Now, first of all, you're basically buying every individual track rather than the entire album. And what happens is as the song gets played, whether it's on Gala or any other streaming service, whenever it gets there, you are racking up rewards, which are these distribution benefits that I was talking about. With these rewards, you don't get paid out, at least as far as I can tell. You don't get credit or like any rights to the song, but what you do get are these rewards that give you all access or exclusive access to specific things, and it's more like an experience-based thing. So what these rewards, at least for Earl's album in particular, are right down here. The biggest one is this album release party. It looks like you need 15,000 points for that. So essentially, you need to have gotten 15,000 points from these streams. Now, when I looked at the streams for a couple of songs earlier, they're right around 2,000 at the high end and about 600 at the low end. So, your money's going somewhere. The other things that you do get, which look like you just get regardless, or you have the option to get regardless, just because they are coming soon, are going to be an autograph poster, an exclusive t-shirt. You can be in the music video, you can have a smoke session with them, or you can FaceTime them. Now, given that it doesn't have the pricing for each of these exclusives at the moment, it's hard to say. It's probably going to be less than that 15,000 that the album release party is, but we don't know yet. Now, this concept is cool. It's a cool idea because, well, the way that Gala puts it is you're essentially gamifying music. And it's kind of weird because on one hand, yeah, you're giving fans and listeners an exclusive way to get rewards for supporting their favorite artist. On the other hand, it feels like something that you could have done through many other means. The other thing that really kind of turned me away from this is the cost. Because these, just like NFTs, these are not cheap. Now, so for example, the first track on this project, 100 High Street, there are still some available. It shows you how many listens there have been, how many likes, so you can kind of get an idea of, its value there. You go over to purchase. This shit is $225 for one song. So if you wanted to get the entire album, you're basically going to be spending about $2,500. And the only reason I mentioned the entire album is because, that's been the discussion that a lot of people have been having online. People are like, well, I'm going to listen to the entire album. I want to get the entire album. I'm not going to spend $225 per song, which you don't have to. Like I mentioned, you can listen to the album on Gala's website, but you can only listen to it on their website. They don't have an app. So, one, you have to sign up, which, some people care. Like, they're like, oh, I don't want to give out my email. I don't want to do all that. Some people don't mind it at all. I didn't really care because I have a personal email that I actually use, not the other ones on here. But there's that. But also, it's like, you're not going to spend all this money. Like, I don't want to spend this money just to own the music. Or at least, because, while you are getting something out of it, it doesn't really seem like you're getting that much. Like, it doesn't feel like that much. Now, like I was saying, there is no app either. So you have to pull up the website on a computer or on your phone, and not, sometimes apps are weird or web pages are weird and they don't really support background play. So it's just kind of annoying, like for me, if I'm going to be listening to an album outside of streaming services, I would like to have the option to have it downloaded on my phone somewhere. And like I said, they don't really give you that option unless you pay for each individual track, which very quickly adds up. Now, the idea behind it, pretty solid. I appreciate it, and I understand why they're doing this, because it's kind of a direct to consumer model, and it's something that is not new. People have been doing it in streaming for a while. However, the way that has been done has been different. Typically, you have artists that are going to be doing it through Bandcamp or through their own website. And, some of these artists, at least the ones that I'm talking about, are people like Rock Marciano or Ka, and even a lot of local artists like Troy LLF, Mo Green, and Cole Medina. They all have either put out their albums on Bandcamp, through their own website, or through a different distribution method. And these albums are going to be direct to consumer just for about a month or so. Well, really anywhere between a week up to a month or two. I think the longest I've waited for a direct to consumer album to go to streaming has been like 2 months. But you do eventually get it on streaming, but you have the option of purchasing the actual MP3s or FLAC files. And, you essentially get more for it, it feels like. And you're paying the kind of normal cost of an album, anywhere between $10 to $20. And in that, you do also have the option of setting up different campaigns. Because, if you've used Bandcamp in the past, you see that there are different campaigns that can be run. You can do the merch packages where it's like vinyl or hats or t-shirts, whatever. And same thing with like direct to consumer. You have bundles that you can do. So while you are essentially just purchasing the music here, and by purchasing the music, you do have the option to get these extra rewards and merch. It's, I guess, less immediate, because if you think about it, you have one song, $225. You have to wait till it gets you. I'm gonna say 5,000 points. That sounds like a reasonable entry point to get merch. So you get 5,000 points, however long that may take you, and then you have the option to get merch, but you've also spent $225. The value proposition is kind of iffy there. Actually, it just refreshed. It looks like to get a signed album poster, which there are apparently only 15 of, you have to have 10,000 points, which sounds insane. Like, yeah, first of all, it's not that many points to get to it, but if you look at it, you have the album release party, which is 15,000, and then the poster, which is 10,000. Like, how does that? It doesn't make sense. But everyone can have different values applied, whatever. But yeah, personally, I feel like if it's an artist that I'm going to be buying merch for, an artist that I'm going to be supporting, I would be doing that anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna, like, when the album comes out, assuming they know like if they intend to release merch for the album, they would probably release it alongside the album. That's generally what happens. So, you know, an album's normally $10, bundle it with a t-shirt, $30, $40, easy. I think more people are going to be willing to do that in general than, you know, buying a single track and then hoping that they get the rest of these rewards. But even beyond that, I think the thing that bothers me the most is just there's no easy way to listen to it. Like, the listening experience is limited to their website at the moment, at least for this particular album. I don't know if that is the case for every album that Gala Music's worked with. I don't think that is the case, because they did mention that there are other projects that are on streaming you still do get rewards from streaming services, so it could be very well that the other artists put the music on the streaming service after the fact or simultaneously. If that is the case, perfect. You know, that makes it way easier and much better for most people. But for people like me who like to listen to an album like all the way through, and I'm not gonna go and buy a single track, and I'm also not really gonna go through the effort of listening to it on a website. We had a similar issue when what's it called? The Black Star album was on Luminary. Like, okay, so I mean that was a little bit easier to swallow too, because they actually had an app and it was only like $4.99. But it's like, okay, well, you want me to go and sign up for a different service, and if I want to listen to it, I have to what? I have to buy individual songs now, and I have to buy all the songs, and each song is $225, and this is the only way that I can listen to it if it's not on a streaming site, or like, I don't know. Like, and honestly, I don't even know that if you purchase it, if you have the option to download it. It's not very clear in that sense either. It just sounds like, oh yeah, you're gonna buy streaming rights to it essentially, but you're not gonna get any money for those streaming rights. Well, I kind of rambled on long enough with that. Let me know what you guys think about this sort of release system. I'm not as big of a fan, like, at least in this particular way. I'm a big fan of how people do Bandcamp, Patreon, direct to consumer. Like, that is all good, because, you know, you're supporting the artist and you're not having to spend $225 on an NFT. While you're down there talking about NFTs, also like and subscribe to see more ramblings and content like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.